part of the Press Play Podcast Network.
Look up in the sky, it's a bird, it's a plane,
This is Jason J. Lewis, the voice of Superman on Justice League Action.
This is Mark Wade, writer of Superman Birthright.
You're listening to The Krypton Report.
Welcome to the Krypton Report podcast. Man, is it good to be back. It feels like we haven't recorded in forever, and I apologize, but we're almost halfway through October, and we haven't even put nothing out, and it's been crazy. I mean, we did put out on our Patreon. James and I, at the end of September, recorded the Flash film, and it's been crazy. Like since my new job, my life has been so busy, and these kids have had so much going on. But I am your host, Tyler, the Superman of Blue, the Man of Tomorrow, and with me is Mr. James Flippin' Cole, the Superman of Red. What's up, buddy?
Hey, what's going on? Yeah, life has been pretty crazy the last couple weeks. Just so busy, morning to night, like never getting to sit still.
It's true. I'm drinking my freshly made apple cider, so bring it on.
That sounds delicious.
It is.
I mean, I'm drinking Sam Adams pumpkin ale, but
Sam Adams.
I went with the Sam Adams. The Imperial pumpkin ale, which is like 9% alcohol, is like really cool. 2 will get you feeling pretty darn good. But
nice.
You know.
So we have a little bit of news and things to catch up on. So let's get to chatting, man. This is our first October episode, so we'll be kicking off something cool this episode. But let's get into this. First thing, Doom Patrol is returning Thursday. Because by the time this comes out, it'll be Thursday.
Oh, wow.
The end of Doom Patrol is upon us, which is the last. It is the last live action DC series besides Superman and Lois, isn't it?
I think it is.
It is. So,
I mean, there's live action. Yeah, absolutely.
It's been a little bit since our last chat, but I did finish watching Harley Quinn, season 4. So that was cool.
Did you like how it ended?
Yes, I did.
Yeah. That Sirens tease is pretty great.
Or is the birds of prey? You know what? Never mind.
Yeah.
Let's see. We back at the end of September, we had our panel at Cincinnati Comic-Con. It went over very well. It was a great time. It was fun because I got to make some jokes about. I was glad there were people in the audience because last year they had my panel at the same time that the Smallville reunion panel was. So, of course, no one in my audience is going to come see me talk when Tom and Michael are in the other room. So,
absolutely. Yeah, that is just a sorry placement, man. That just hurts. Like, you just know.
I was like, this is book. This is book, Baba. I want some pasta.
Going to be explosions.
New York Comic Con is coming soon, and they had New York Toy Fair, and we got to see some of the new Batman the Animated Series line that McFarlane has. But also, I'm waiting for them to actually announce when the Batman and Robin line goes on sale. Because they did show that, and that line looks really good, and I am going to buy that whole line because I have a shelf, okay, that's like my Batman movie shelf, and one side has all the different Batman, and then the other side is at least one version of every live action Batman villain. So I have the figures from the Batman and the Dark Knight trilogy. But then I excuse me, I just bought at the Cincinnati Comic-Con a Harley Quinn from the Suicide Squad. It was the Build-A-Figure King Shark. It was only $10.
Nice.
So I bought that figure because, yeah, it was $10.
Yeah, see, when I would be out and about, and if I could find figures like that for the cheap, I would get them. But like when they come out, like I can only get a certain number of them, a certain amount. You know what I mean? So like when it comes to like those Batman figures, I'm on the hunt for that that one Bane figure from The Dark Knight Rises, the one with the coat, because I'm not buying all 4 figures to build the 5th one.
Yeah.
Because I can't.
You know, my thing, that's part of, you know, we will be in Motor City in November. That's one of the things I'm looking out for. So that'll be fun.
Yeah, I half expect that to be a present at some point if I don't get it before you do. I know you, Tyler.
Dang it, Tyler.
Right?
But my thing is, like, so I pre-ordered my Aquaman figure for Aquaman Lost Kingdom, and it's just Aquaman, right? I just went with the Aquaman, but I pre-ordered it from GameStop because being a pro member, I got it at a cheaper rate. And I use my $5 a month coupon. That's really, I'll be honest with you, I sign up for the pro membership every year. I get points and stuff if we trade games or buy new games. But then I turn around and use those $5 coupons and stuff to just buy McFarlane figures because they're finally starting to restock.
That's what I used mine. That's what I've used mine for.
So they've been starting to restock stuff. All right, what else we got? Okay. So let's talk about some. James Gunn came out on Threads. He's very active on Threads. And basically stated that nothing is canon to his DC universe until Creatures Commando. Now has been. Why am I coughing? So I have not coughed until we started this.
I was like, "Dang, Tyler!" Like, pass it over here, dude.
Yeah, for real.
No.
Maybe this isn't cider. Junia?
Did she spike your cider? Got your throat burning?
There has been some conflicting things about, you know, Jaime Reyes, and we'll just wait and see. That's all I'm going to say. But he said that nothing is canon until Creature Commandos in 2024. So I guess we are getting Creature Commandos in 2024. So that's something. Because
that's something to look forward to.
And that's what I was trying to point out to Brian. I don't think he caught at first. He's like, oh, okay. So I was like, we had no idea when it was coming. And as far as we knew, all we had in 2024 was Joker 2.
Yeah. I mean, we're hoping for the Penguin.
Yeah. I mean, I'm still hoping for that, you know, but I think we will get that in 2024. But, you know.
I would love to see Creature Commandos, the Penguin, and maybe Waller.
Waller is what I was hoping for.
That's it, the whole year. You know what I'm saying? Well, just knowing that Creature Commandos is coming first.
Yeah.
You know, Peacemaker 2 is put on the back burner for a little bit. With him having to work on Legacy.
Yeah. I think
because Peacemaker was his baby.
And
which we all know was way better than the Suicide Squad.
I mean, it makes it's one of those what works better, long format storytelling or, you know, a movie.
Well, also who's telling the story in long format as opposed to movie short format.
And because here's my thing, I think there's.
Because he does a lot of good character work with ensembles, but if you give him time to breathe with them over the course of a series...
Which 8 episodes was fine. I feel like that's my problem with certain long format storytelling. Like, it's too slow. And they're not giving me enough work or not enough story that I don't care. Like, I get tired after a while because nothing's happening. But his Peacemaker was paced very well.
Yeah.
Now, there was an article that came out today in Variety that basically states that none of the main actors who are in the Justice League will continue their roles in James Gunn's DC universe. We kind of all suspected that, and Of course, now everyone's talking that Momoa is going to be auditioning for, or is going to be Lobo, and I'm like, okay, I don't really care, because I feel like he injected so much of that Lobo energy into his Aquaman that, like, I mean,
Yeah, but if he really gets to open that up for a Lobo, because with what James Gunn does with his movies and like his sensibilities, his comedy, things like that, and how far he's willing to go, his Lobo will definitely be like
the main man.
I mean, yeah, the main man, dude. Like sex, drugs, alcohol, and killing MFers, man.
So just James on a Friday night.
Yeah. James on a Friday night.
Boom, boom. And then, okay, so in more personal news, my local comic shop closed. Like, I got a call in the I think it was last Wednesday, and he basically said, hey, the shop's closed. It wasn't even going to be, I was like, oh, so when's the last day? He's like, no, I already closed it. And I'm just kind of like, oh. So I'm really at a loss of what to do about my books, trying to keep up. And, like, I'm trying to figure out what I didn't have because I already had some stuff pulled. Like, a couple of the books that we'll talk about, like, I already had pulled. And I had a couple of new books, like, waiting for me, especially the Libra Mayo cover for Superman 7, I think it is. And
Okay.
so I'm just like, I'm kind of at a loss. And what's funny is you and I had talked, and it's been, oh my God, it's been too long. But I brought up something to you, and I asked your opinion on it. And what I asked you was, has the app killed comics? And this is helping. This is where it's hitting me a little bit harder now, is because I'm at a point, and because I'm getting pissed off because it's becoming so difficult to get my comic books now.
Right.
They keep churning out so much, and some of it's not good. And they keep raising the price of the books. And I'm just like, do I want to, like, I love the thrill of going to buy comics, but I'm at the point where, like, I'm already paying for this app, and I'm just a month behind on the app. Do I just want to wait? Because you brought up a good point, and I'm going to let you roll with this, but what are your thoughts before I keep going?
I mean, it's tough when you think about it. Like, I mean, with the app, I get to read all of the books across the line. I get to read books that I can't get my hands on. The accessibility of comics with the app. I mean, especially talking about combating the rising costs. It's difficult. You know what I mean? 1 month behind is not that bad. And especially like if when it's about to come up, so I'm going to find out here very shortly, if I can pay, if like this upfront cost, like jumping in at the very beginning, like a lot of us did, if that cost carries over, because they had done that previously, like when you jumped on right away, that cost was you had a lot of savings, and it kind of gave you that annual cost that's the only thing you would have to pay. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So if that cost is one time for an entire year of these comic books, that's a lot of reading to be able to get in, a lot of stories to keep up on. I buy, because all I can really do is buy the Superman books, Action, Superman, John Kent. It's hard to pick up other books. I was a while back picking up the Nightwing book by Tom Taylor. Since then, I've only kept up on the app, and I'm right on it. I finished Dark Knights of Steel.
Yep.
The 12 issues on that, but I'm kind of happy that that's gone. That's a $5 book. And I mean, it was spread out for the length of the run, more than the year. Not quite as long as Doomsday Clock.
Nope.
But it was spaced out a little bit farther than once a month. So, but yeah, it's I can't pick up anybody else's books. Like I can only pick up the Superman books, and then they come out with other Kryptonian books and the family books, Steelworks, Superboy, Power Girl, just dropped the special and issue 1.
Yep, we'll talk about that a little bit.
Excuse me. Books I would really be interested in reading and picking up. I'd be really interested in reading and picking up, but it's not feasible. I mean, the time to drive across town to get my books, the gas, the cost of the books, when in 1 month I can read them.
Yeah. And like you said, you made a big point to me, and Brian made this point, and that was. I was
gonna say, we had this conversation a while ago. If I didn't hit that point, let me know, and I will definitely tackle it.
we talked about how individual issues take up space, and they're just sitting in boxes. But like buying a trade, you're just more apt to go over to your shelf, see the spine, pull it off, and read a one-sitting story instead of going through all the individual issues. Because I already told you, like, when we review later on, when they do this new Batman 89, and when they do the new Superman 78 Part 2, whatever they're going to call it, like, I'm just going to wait for the trade. I'm not going to buy the individual issues.
I'm gonna read them when they come out on the app. That's for damn sure.
Yeah,
I want the trade on my shelf.
And I feel like that's kind of where I'm going for specialty books, because they don't like when they made the New 52, they wrote for the trades. And it was very easy to follow, like Volume 1, Volume 2, and just kind of go with the trades. And they haven't been doing that. They kind of got away with that a little bit in Rebirth.
No, yeah, they're more story titled.
And
as opposed to Volume 1, Volume 2.
Exactly. And I'm just kind of like, it gets confusing, because then you start buying the same book twice or whatever. So I'm just kind of like, I'm going to buy trades for like specialty books, kind of like Dark Knights of Steel, those type of things. But yeah, has the app killed comics?
I mean, I think if we, along those lines, I think if people were to still, of course, pay for the app so we could read our comics. And I do like the variety, like keeping up with everything now. I in my history, I'm reading the Blue Beetle books, the new Birds of Prey that came out, Green Arrow. I finished Riddler Year 1 from the Batman, Cyborg, Tom King's Penguin, Hawk Girl. I read the entire Night Terrors run. I even read Fire and Ice.
Nice.
And you know what I mean? Yeah, Fire and Ice come to Smallville. And I would never pick them up because that's not something I would be interested in buying and owning on my shelf without reading it. I don't have that connection to those characters. It's just, but here I have the access, the ability, it's paid for, to really do it. And it really actually opens up my DC world reading on the app, and then great stories that come here. I can get the trade on my shelf, and I can still invest in those comics.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So I think the accessibility is one thing. You know what I mean? Like you said, your shop just closed. So unless you're going to buy comics, pay for shipping and stuff, and have them brought to you physically, you have the accessibility right in your hand.
Yes, you do.
So, I mean, it's hard. I mean, I think it's going to hit definitely a group of people when it comes to the whole thing. But I think as a medium, I think it does actually open up some of that accessibility to people.
Mm-hmm. I mean, it's excuse me, it's not an easy conundrum to deal with, but
no, and change always affects somebody, and it sucks to see, but
I'm just at a point where I'm just kind of like, what do I want to do, you know? And
yeah,
I'm trying to figure out what books I have and what I don't, thanks to my shop closing down. But
yeah.
Hey,
well, I mean, when you think about it, like, you can always take your family out for a nice family day and have in mind some trades.
The next shop to get to is 45 minutes to an hour.
Well, I mean, like, you can buy trades from different locations than a specific shop. Yeah, also,
but it's more about keeping up with the current stories that we review, and then it becomes like, well, like with Superman books, we try to talk about them on time, and then it's like, are we just going to get to the point where we're just 1 month behind on everything, and just do it all from the app, you know?
Right. I mean, it does give a chance for some of the audience to be able to read the book before we talk about it. 1 month, you know what I'm saying? But then again, it's always like topical. You know, I mean, what's new to somebody they've already experienced, they've already read it.
True.
But hopefully you're listening to us to hear what we think about it as well.
So that is our thought. Now I'm going to cut, and you're going to hear a nice, similar comment from our good friend, Anthony Desiato.
Ready when you are.
Yep. You ready? So I have Anthony here. And Anthony, my quick question is, do you feel that the apps, and I say apps as in like the DC Ultra, but also the Marvel Unlimited, is killing the comic book industry? And I say that in the sense of, do you find yourself like books that maybe you would want to purchase before, you're like, it'll be on the app. I'll read it on the app. Do you find it like this, your mentality shifting towards buying books, and that you're just like, I'll get the app?
Yes.
What are your thoughts?
Overall, yes, I do identify with what you're saying. There are definitely things where if the app were not an option, I would buy the book because I'm interested enough to read. So there is that. But at the same time, I don't know if I would go so far as to say it's killing the industry, mostly because through my other project, right, I've talked to a lot of comics retailers, and I've not talked to all of them. And so I'm not saying that this is meant to capture the entire experience of all retailers, but at least from the ones that I've spoken to, because that was my question to them, right? Because every time the question of digital comes up, or the apps, or whatever the case may be, it's always, well, is this going to hurt shops? Or people, not going to buy? And consistently what I've heard from them is that they haven't seen those effects on the floor, you know, maybe to the degree that we might expect, and that essentially they're serving different audiences, and that the collectability aspect is still driving so many people. Or people might sample something digitally, right? So it might be a way to sort of get people in, but then they need guidance, or then they want to get the physical copy. So again, personally, do I know that I've bought less physically because I have the app? Yes. But at the same time, I don't know big picture.
And that's where I'm sitting is like for Batman Day, my friend bought the trade of the Batman 89 book. And we're sitting there talking. I'm like, you know, with the sequel coming up and then the Superman one, I said, I don't know if I'm going to buy individual issues. Like, I love buying comics, but at the same time, I'm at a point where I might just start buying trades because, as James pointed out, it's a lot easier to walk over to my shelf and pull a trade off the rate than dig through my box and even find the individual issues, even though my boxes are really organized. Like, you know, so it's just kind of this thought where I get to a point where I'm just like, do I want to keep buying all these individual issues, or what is my comic experience starting to look like? But thank you for your comments there as a fellow comic reader and man who uses the app.
No, absolutely. Look, I've gone back and forth with all of this a lot over the years, in the 30 years that I've been reading and collecting comics, where I've gone back and forth between single issues versus trades. And then I've gone back and forth between physical versus digital. It's funny, you and I are together right now because we're recording an episode of my podcast on Doomsday Clock. And I originally bought those single issues as they were coming out because I was so interested in it. And then I ended up donating them back to the comic book shop for a charity auction they were doing. And so in the interim, I've had them digitally, but then knowing that we were going to be recording on it and given my affinity for the story, I thought, well, it would be nice to have this on my shelf. And as I spend the hours that I'm going to spend with the material preparing for the episode, as much as I'm happy to read on my iPad and I don't mind it, it would be nice maybe to just kind of have the actual book. So I bought the trade. So that's one that I've had in all forms.
Nice.
Except the 2 hardcovers or the Absolute. I don't have any of those. But so that's just kind of a microcosm of what my experience has been of kind of going back and forth. So I don't know. I don't know that I really have much of a definitive answer to your question. Just that it's kind of a journey and very much a process with all of this.
I appreciate it. And we'll talk about the Doomsday Clock on your show. So make sure everyone you tune into that.
All right, cool. I'll stop the recording on.
And we're back. So now it's October. And as we talked about last month, we are going to begin talking about, and we're going to start going through Justice League Action. Because Superboy is not on Tubi. So we will return to it someday. Rest in peace. So Justice League Action. And the first episodes of Justice League Action was released December 16th. Well, it's weird because it was released in parts, but at the same time, it was released all at once as one 40-minute block. And that's how I first experienced it. And we have talked about Justice League Action until we're blue in the face on this show. So now we're going to go episode by episode and talk about it. Because the first block is called Shazam Slam. I wonder what that's about, James.
No clue. I've heard that name before, though. Shazam.
Isn't that the thing Gomer Pyle used to say?
Oh, I thought it was that movie that Sinbad was in.
Oh, yeah, that works too.
Oh, okay.
Shazam! That's why I stay out to get out of bed and get some motivation in the morning. I pretend like I'm yelling, for the strength of Hercules.
Right.
But so I'm going to give you kind of a loose synopsis of what the first block is, and then we'll talk about it and we'll go from there. When Batman and Superman are not enough to save the world on their own, they must assemble a team. Watch as the Justice League have their adventures and fights while winning or losing. It's part of classic rock. So the first one is really Batman with who, James?
The Wizard Shazam.
And who do they go to save, James?
Billy Batson.
Billy Batson. I just like saying it.
But this wizard is not Djimon Hounsou.
No, it's not. It's kind of a bummer.
Which almost everything besides his face on Wonder Woman's body, it was all great.
But tell us a little bit about it, James. We'll just
Black Adam.
The whole block is part 2 is called Power Outage. Superman and Wonder Woman go up against Parasite as he emerges with a mysterious lava alien. Part 3 is Night of the Bat. Working with Green Arrow, Batman chases down Jin Unthul and suddenly disappears. Where Batman, he defeats Booster Gold, Wonder Woman, and Cyborg in his plot to the Hall of Justice. Core temperature, the Earth's mantle. And part 4 is Above, a bait and switch. Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman pursue the remaining Jin, where they plan to reopen Calathos, and they drain Superman and Wonder Woman of their powers. John Constantine arrives to help, and so does Black Adam and Shazam. So go, James.
Well, I mean, so it kind of starts off like Black Adam's trying to take the Rock of Eternity, and he banished the wizard from there, and he captured Billy Batson's powers and took over the Rock of Eternity and held Billy Batson prisoner. And in so doing, he released monsters from the Rock of Eternity on Earth. And in this respect, it's really like if he released the 7 deadly sins from the Rock of Eternity. But I think because it was more of a kid's show, I feel they went the route of the Jinn, the different versions, the different enemies that they faced. The one who merges with Parasite, the one who takes over Batman, and the other ones that they fought at that mountain, that volcano. But Batman rescues Billy Batson, gets him his powers so he can turn into Shazam. It's just it's pretty cool. It's you get to hear a lot of people. It really spans a lot of the DC universe right in this first block, getting Constantine and Swamp Thing, and Plastic Man, Green Arrow. There's a lot of people involved in this first block of episodes. What did you think of them, Tyler?
I thought it was fun how they kind of all, this show, as we'll get through it, doesn't always connect. But these 4 episodes kind of do, because we start with Shazam and Black Adam, and then we kind of end with Shazam and Black Adam. And you had pointed out before that the sins were kind of replaced with Jinn.
Yeah.
And the animation is fun. It's simple, but it's not too simple. It's fun. And of course, we love the voice of Superman.
Yes.
And we have...
Shout out Jason J. Lewis.
We have Green Arrow and Plastic Man, Swamp Thing. They all arrive. So it's going to be really fun as we go through all of these and break it down.
Yeah. Well, we get a lot of voices too. Rachel as Wonder Woman. Kevin Conroy as Batman. We got Superman. Mark Hamill in for Swamp Thing.
I cannot wait.
Sean Astin getting to be Shazam again. We haven't seen him from since he was Shazam in the DC animated movie universe.
Mm-hmm.
Back when it was the New 52 style.
Yep.
And early on at that.
You know it. So, but yeah, I'm looking forward to this whole conversation. Is Kevin Conroy as Batman, and he plays the same Batman, but there's just a slight humor to it because he's such the straight man in more comedic situations.
Yeah, there was a couple of jokes. I don't have them down here, but yeah, Batman dropped a couple of lines. It's pretty good. Just Kevin Conroy exactly being the straight man in these overly comical situations. It's almost bringing his Batman animated series Batman into this more comical world.
Mm-hmm. All right. So
I look forward to continuing watching Justice League action.
So do I.
It's been a while since I watched through it.
Yep.
So it's going to be good to revisit it because I do remember liking a good majority of it.
I'm just I'm looking forward to being able to talk and not cough. I don't know what's going on. Why all of a sudden I'm coughing. It's really got me upset. So, all right. Let's talk some comics, man. We have on the block here Superboy, the final issue. Have you read it yet?
I have.
So let's start there, and we'll kind of work through
get that one.
What I got here. Before we start that, did you read? I did read the Power Girl issue.
Okay.
And it was interesting how they broke down how she got the name Paige.
And
Yeah. Which was kind of how it was going in the backup for Action. Back when Power Girl, that's where this came from.
And I really, like I've said before, would like to have Power Girl and Connor kind of together on their own kind of adventures, because I feel like their stories are similar. And it is funny, like they had to figure out a way to get rid of Karen. I'm guessing just because that became such a negative term. Like, you Karen.
Right.
Yeah, change his character. Like,
yeah, it's something I wanted to. I know, right? You gave me a cough over the internet.
we're all screwed now.
It's a virus. Anyway, this version of Power Girl it kind of really stems back through the New 52 with the World's Finest book, Her and Huntress. I've read. I started it because it came off of the Earth 2 books, which I really enjoyed.
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't get very far though. So I know that this is where this version of Power Girl comes from, though. That's our modern Power Girl. So that little bit of history moving into this. I didn't get to read. I read about halfway through the Power Girl special.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't get to pick that up back when it came out because, of course, it wasn't a luxury.
Yep.
But now I've read half of it. It's actually the last issue that I was reading. I didn't get to finish it before we jumped on.
Yep.
Because it connects to Fire and Ice. The backup in that actually jumps up Fire and Ice. So once I read that, I was like, oh, well, now I got to read that too. And I wanted to anyways. So, sorry, Power Girl number 1. Is that what you're talking about?
Yep. It was interesting, but the whole, like, them on the boat thing was odd. But, all right. So, let's get into, did you read World's Finest? Any of the World's Finest 17 or 18?
Yes. Yes, I did.
All right. You take the lead here with 17. Well, I try not to cough and die.
Okay. Well, I was bringing up Power Girl on my tablet here, so let me get to World's Finest 17 here. You got this, hon.
That's funny.
I got lost. Oh, okay, there we go. So yeah, World's Finest 17. They're battling New Mazo, the showdown. We got Supergirl in here fighting Batman, Martian Manhunter. They're all fighting New Mazo while Magnus is trying to find the way to beat this thing. They're trying to find the way to beat New Mazo. All their numbers. Morrow says it's not possible. He says every scenario, New Mazo wins.
Yep.
But they like Batman, Green Lantern, and Shazam are on their way in. He says stand down. They're trying to keep them away from New Mazo, trying to like power him up. But they bring in all of these, all the robots, all the robots in the DC universe.
Yep.
Any form to come in
always
and
think of Mazo's
fight
interesting,
Mazo.
just 'cause-
New Mazo. They've even
Yeah,
got
the
Robot
original-
Man here.
A Mazo here to fight New Mazo.
But like he's ripping through everything, and they bring in the original Amazo.
And it's interesting because in the battle, what happens is
They
Metamorpho is actually the one that comes in and fights and defeats.
they can't stop replicating each other, and like their energy
Then at the end, we have
feedback
Bruce
loop
Wayne
is
arrested
kind of
for
what
Stag's
destroys
murder.
them. What kind of
And-
shuts down New Mazo.
Then we have the tease of the untold origin of Superman and Batman, and then the return of
and
Lord
then
Thunder,
Metamorpho
leads to King
Gets
Kong.
to deal the final like acid blows to destroy New Mazo.
There you are. You disappeared for a minute.
Um,
I wonder where you went.
the Jimmy gets to kind of like apologize. He feels bad for pointing the finger at getting Bruce Wayne arrested for Stag's murder. And like he's like, I like Batman. He's from everything I've heard, Bruce Wayne strikes me as a reasonable man. I doubt he'll hold a grudge. So,
Yeah, that's
which
nice.
is pretty hilarious, of course. But then next we get the untold origin of Superman, Batman, and the return of Boy Thunder.
Are you ready for this one?
Which didn't we see that Boy Thunder was Magog way back
think so.
when, like first 6 issues?
I think so. Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Hello?
Can you hear me
Yeah.
now? Can you hear me?
I hope not. That would suck, dude.
Hey, can you hear me? All right.
18.
I really hope we didn't lose everything. I'm really pissed. Hold on. I'm going to stop this. No. I'm just going to keep going. All right, ready? World's Finest, 18.
Oh, man. Okay.
The hidden secret origin of the world's finest team.
All right.
I actually bought this issue because I was going to take it to get signed by Mark Waid, but now I can't because my wife has a wedding to officiate that my kids are in for a friend.
It's a Riddler story.
And we'll just leave it there. This is years ago in Gotham City. We see Commissioner Gordon Bullock.
Right. Like he sees Kryptonese written on the bank or the vault wall. It shows up to Gordon.
And I like when we see what do you call it? Superman show up to Commissioner Gordon. He doesn't realize it's Superman at first because he makes a comment about his skills and everything. And Superman translates the riddle, and we see them, Superman flying and Batman swinging.
Yeah, I believe
And
that
along the way,
is
they're helping people.
correct.
And I like this team up. I like
It's a
also
very John
DC
Byrne
Magpie.
looking Magpie too.
Kind of going back to John Byrne's Man of Steel, was it 2? Where Batman shows up and they go against Magpie.
Right, just rips the back axle out.
I just love how I love how he just catches the car from the bottom. What I find interesting is we
That
see
is
that Riddler
not
is
conspicuous.
doing this, but there's some sort of energetic being that's kind of forcing Riddler to do it. And then we have
Well,
Clark
Wayne
Kent
asked
show up at the
for
home
him.
of Bruce Wayne.
Asked for Clark Kent to come to his home.
And I love just this, where I'm trying to pull it. I'm trying to find the exact quote. And he says, cross-referencing the majority of them begging for or end at the planet's office for a specific apartment building on Clinton Avenue. Cross-referencing that data with the planet's personal files, Clark Kent is Superman's most likely disguise. And he says, that's why you brought me here. You have an absurd hobby, Wayne. Sorry to disappoint you, but if that's all you have to offer, there's one more thing you should listen to. A man wearing noise filters, Mr. Kent. Noise filters? Why? Or nose filters, sorry. So I can breathe.
Yeah.
I filled this room with
I do
odorless
too.
knockout gas a half hour ago. Don't worry, Clark. Your secret's safe with me. In fact, quid pro quo, I have my own. Oh, I know. See him use his X-ray vision. Should we take the stairs? And there they are in the cave together. I like it. And then when we see them at Gotham Memorial Park with the Kryptonese written, and we find out there's an abandoned ship on Port Street. They go there. There's a Riddler.
Yeah, he
And then
switched places
basically,
with him.
And
Jacks
they-
are
they
very
appear in
reminiscent
the
of
Phantom
the
Zone.
Superman
And
animated
Cops,
series. Jacks are as well.
Clark, but pulls Batman in, and it's Jax Ur. And Batman's in the Phantom Zone. Yes, he is.
As a whole,
Alright.
like I thought it was written pretty well. We got so much
let's talk about,
inner monologue of this Superboy
Superboy,
on
the
his
final
journey.
issue. What do you think of it? Just as a whole?
Getting to see what he could be like if he was like such a weapon as Trav is using his cloned body for, with his robotic powers and everything, to kind of like even add to it, to Superboy's capabilities. But, I enjoyed this story. Connor using his tactile telekinesis to really stop this blast from hitting the ground, and like it's like a pretty much it was a planet destroying a huge chunk of the planet or worse. Like it was pretty cool to see Connor get like some big time action like that. The way he cared for Trav and as well as the other Cosmeteers. It was really awesome to see a whole crew of Green Lantern. Got to see Kyle and Guy Gardner up front and center. Yeah, I like that. I don't think that's the last we've seen of Trav. Right. But yeah, it also
nice
really
to,
makes
like, the idea
awesome
that there's a
sense that it's
cyborg
a
Superboy.
cloned version of him with a cybernetic
That's one of those things.
with his cybernetic control like
It
Cyborg
just kinda
Superman.
makes me
Yeah,
go,
it's
"Oh,
pretty
that makes
awesome.
total sense. Why have
They
we
also
used-
caught Dominator X. The Green Lantern Corps has him. He teleports back to Earth. Connor does. So the entire Super family is waiting for him. They give him a new cool jacket to match everybody else's. Everybody's got to look similar except for Superman. He's got to look classic. It's a really nice time with the family, and then, my name is Connor Kent, Superboy, and while Earth might be my home, this whole universe is new to me. It was really fun.
Yeah, OG with.
I like the conclusion. Yeah, it definitely grew better as it went on. The first 2 or so issues was a little slow, a little world building of him out in the
I do too.
out in the universe doing his thing.
The book worked very well,
but it definitely built up, and it ended really well. I did.
Now, did you read Action 1057? Okay, so let's go there because of the Connor connection. This is one I almost forgot it came out. Because the fact being that, what do you call it? It was on my pull, and now the comic shop's closed. I just hadn't gone to pick it up yet. So I kind of almost forgot it had come out. Until I was looking through all my notes. So this one's called Revenge of the Demon, and it's the start of the next epic. And here's what I really liked about the Action 1057 is it starts with Clark on a ledge catching up with the guy, and they're just sitting there eating lunch. Clark's eating some chips.
Yeah, that was really cool.
And they're sitting there. He's talking to him about his son's problems and how, the dad.
Yeah, I don't believe he's there, making sure he's going to work and not committing crimes. I think that this guy turned his life around, and he appreciates that for him, and he's checking in with him, seeing how his life's going.
And I'm like, that's Superman.
He has a genuine interest.
It just makes me, that's to me that's the character that we've all come to love. So, but we go that the leaders of Blue Earth want to give an interview, and they're going to do a on-camera interview with only Clark Kent. And
how I think it went.
Basically,
it was a very interesting read. Clark being able to tell that she's lying, every word she says, she doesn't believe what she's trying to say.
How do you think it went, James?
He believes that she is responsible. What's that? Yeah, it's the FBI's characterization of Blue Earth is unfair. Our followers are passionate, but we're not terrorists. We're humanists. Bombings, armed riots, and xenophobic rhetoric are not traditionally associated with humanism. I've never asked my followers to hurt anyone. Lie. And I've certainly never committed violence myself. Lie. The mission of Blue Earth is to save humanity from alien threats that are trying to replace us and colonize our home. Lie. Miss Stone. So He's Miss Stone. Blue Earth rallies have directly led to assault, aggravated assault, and attempted murder of War World refugees. Murder of War World refugees. Murder is something human beings do to one another. Like, I don't think that is dark, because that is incredibly. I mean, it's literally killing the life of an intelligent, sentient being. You know what I mean? It's not like the circle of life, predator and prey, where there's it's survival in that respect. I mean, she doesn't believe in it being survival. Clark tells you that. So she fully thinks that she's murdering aliens and it's justified. The interesting thing, though, about this whole thing is she appears to have a kryptonite bracelet. I mean, it's a green stone bracelet. I mean, we all know what a green stone means. So the fact that Superman sits in this room with her the entire time while she has a kryptonite bracelet on.
Yeah, she does.
And then he gets attacked. Her bodyguard shows up in the elevator, takes his glasses off, and starts to use some sort of green energy. And he absorbs the powers and the look of Superman. Yeah. I'm going to show this world what happens when people put their faith in a monster. So, yeah, I mean, that's crazy, though. Just literally just trying to look like Superman and probably commit atrocities to try and discredit Superman. I know. I mean, yes, I do feel. I'm hoping that that Johnson here is got a new angle to do this when it comes 10:58.
I'm just like, haven't that been done before? Come on, dude.
Where we go from here. Right. Me as well.
Yeah. I'm like, come on, dude. And then we get I almost forgot that this story hadn't concluded because it's been like 3 months. But the John Kent, young John Kent, with being kidnapped by Galiana, and Superman had shown up to save him. They bust out, and then of course Doombreaker is about to attack Lois on Earth, and he gets pulled away by a mysterious orange.
I thought she had actually killed her family, so it was surprising for me to see her family show up the way she did, the way they did here. So it kind of makes me wonder as to what has been going on this planet. Maybe her family was ruling and she locked them away or something. I'm very unsure, but this voice here also delivers Doomsday to her, Doombreaker to her.
Yeah.
McGann.
And then the reason why I wanted this one next is because at the end, we have Connor back. Now it's like back to modern time with Ma Kent, and he's coming downstairs and he's colored his hair. He's got like a red streak in it. And basically, he goes and meets up with McGann, who looks really different but looks cool. And they have a fling going. And basically, Connor just is having McGann is talking to him. And she goes into his mind. She asks him if that's what he wants, but Connor keeps having this dream where he's fighting Doomsday, and he dies the way Clark did, and they see his funeral, and it bothers him, and he goes into a whole speech about how he doesn't even know who he is, and it shows all the different kind of versions they've done for Connor. The original Connor Superboy, the black T-shirt, the evil black T-shirt, a couple others, and then the New 52 bastardized version. And he talks about how I only exist because someone wanted to back up Superman. Now Superman has an adult son. I go to Superman's old high school, sleep in his bed, live with his parents. And when I look in the mirror, even my face is his. And I'm supposed to be Superboy my whole life. And he just basically has a breakdown, which I think is so interesting for this to be the next story after the one we just got. Unless this takes place before that, because then he basically tells McGann to basically push off. She calls him Connie. That would piss me off too. And he flies away. And, Ma's like, you can talk to me. You're my son. I know you're not Clark. And he says, do you? And then we see him up in his room with his hand. Was this he's coloring his hair again, or he's trying to take it out? He's got his hands in it, and
yeah,
he sees an M.
I was like, we just kind of read that story.
Looks like it says usual place, and then it says his thumb's in the way, but it says no. So I don't know. I was very thrown by that.
Yeah, but I mean, well, as it is, he doesn't have that red hair when he left, because his coat here is also the old coat. It's not the new coat.
I'm like, unless that takes place and that's part of what helped fuel him to leave or something, I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's probably still before he goes. I mean, he does have Kryptonian hair, so it's not like
that was my biggest.
It would hold that dye. He's probably using tactile telekinesis for it.
Was because it was the old coat.
But having some sort of identity crisis as well before he leaves, has to come to terms with just being Connor, not like being a version of Clark, and then find his place as Superboy in that other book, maybe. Who knows?
Mm-hmm. I guess. It's heavy. All right. Last book on the docket today. Superman number 6. The Chained One Part 1. And I'll tell you my first thought about this is I didn't like that they changed the art. I did not like the art for this. It's not horrible. I just don't think it's as good as what we had. And this was the one that picks up where Luthor got shanked and is being taken to jail or to the hospital where he got shanked in prison. And Clark's already feeling guilty. And basically, the gist of this is you find out that Luthor has somebody prisoned in the basement of Supercorp in a giant box wrapped in chains. And Clark goes down there and, opens it up. And we have him basically coming, opening this guy up. Lex is in bed yelling, Superman, save me. You can hear Lex.
Redirects it.
He says Lex Luthor, and the guy goes crazy. He looks like a Jacob Marley in his chains. he's strong, even though he's got some sort of tactile telekinesis type power because he stops Superman's heat vision and basically wraps Superman in the chains as he's flying up, and then we just see him kind of up in the air and he's got the chains around him. And then Luthor wakes up and says, "Superman, what have you done?" It says the chain is unleashed in next month's Superman 850. Like I said, I didn't like the artwork.
It's kind of like
some sort of like
it's kind of like showing
like
a little
Luthor
bit of
clone
Superman's
or something. Luthor Superman clone.
Still distrust,
kind
of for like Lex Luthor and what he's done.
Where it's more Luthor.
I mean, yeah, he wants to free somebody who's imprisoned, especially since he can't find a reason that this person is imprisoned. And it's like a Lex Luthor private prison. Like it just doesn't add up for Superman in the least. Like it can't be anything good, I feel.
Makes sense.
So, right. So, he definitely goes to release him. And yeah, I thought he was pretty powerful because especially this version of Superman we know kind of got that power boost off of Warworld.
Obviously, he never watched The Flash.
It never does. It's always one up. Oh, that's how the storytellings always go. It is interesting though, like what kind of powers this being would have, because the prison was designed to, as we get a quote, say that the prison was designed to
because the next villains
use their powers against them. So, like, as powerful as they are, the prison, the chains, and everything, like, can exert that back down on you and keep you completely immobilized. And well, as that other character was, completely, what's that word? Has no stimuli, can't hear, can't see, can't do anything. So yeah, I'm interested in what this character is and where it came from.
Yeah, he was de-Jamesed. I don't know what that means, but it just sounded cool.
Yeah, I mean, I'm getting Superman 850. That is actually something I had considered as maybe being the last Superman book I buy and kind of go with that trade route we were discussing.
But that's all we have for this Krypton
yet
report.
to make that determination, but the plan is there. Yeah, for you, I mean, you want me to grab you one? An 850 since you can't get one? Like, yeah, get you an 850 and then,
Yep. It might be for a while. I don't know. I just don't know. That'd probably be easier. Jesus.
Yeah. But you're getting that book, and that's like
the one
my
store.
3
Like, I
Spawn
can do a pull
books
there, but I have to have 5 titles.
That one book there,
like to do a pull, and I'm like, all I do is get Superman.
and even
Action,
those are about to like.
and then like
I'm
buying
considering the trade route with
Last
those
Days of
two
Superman and Lex Luthor.
specifically.
And I'm like, well, that sucks. So I don't know. I'll just have to figure it out.
Look up in the sky.
We just want to say, if you've enjoyed this podcast, please check out other podcasts on the Press Play Podcast Network.
If you are like Tyler and James and can't get enough super talk, check out these other podcasts. Digging for Kryptonite, Supergirl Radio, The Last Sons of Krypton, The Superboy Legacy Podcast, All-Star Superfans, Superman the Animated Podcast, The Aspiring Kryptonians, Always Hold On to Smallville, The Geek of Steel, and Truth, Justice, and Hope.
Remember to check out Krypton Report on all social media platforms. Go to linktree.com/Krypton Report. You find all of our information.
What's up, everybody? Chase Smith here from the Chase Smith Podcast and Cavs on the Break NBA Podcast.
And I'm JD, host of the Hyman Podcast, part of the Press Play Podcast Network, and we are super excited to bring you a brand new show starting next Tuesday, the Fanfare Podcast.
The Fanfare Podcast is all about your favorite movies and our favorite movies and the best moments in cinema. To help guide our discussion, each episode will feature one classic, and we will grade this movie using a report card-like scale A through F. We're going to be grading categories like acting, directing, cinematography, the score, and even the movie poster itself.
And when we're not featuring a movie report card, we'll be sharing our movie rankings, franchise deep dives, actor and director interviews, and everything in between. Movies have been a major part of our lives, and we cannot wait to share our thoughts with you.
Our premiere episode will drop Tuesday, June 27th, and JD and I will be reviewing Raiders of the Lost Ark in preparation of the release of Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny on June 30th, the 5th installment of the franchise.
Join us on the Fanfare Podcast, available on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to your podcast.
Hello, Brooks here with the Books with Brooks monthly book club podcast. Here's how Books with Brooks works. We read one book a month, and then we talk about it. Classics like Stephen King's The Shining, debut novels like We Are the Brennans by Tracy Lang, and tons of other compelling, life-changing stories, one book and 1 month at a time. So come read along with us, and then listen in.
Here at Krypton Report, we believe in the power of podcasting, the power of speaking your voice and speaking something that comes from you. So here's a couple of podcasts you can check out with people sharing their voice.
I am Brian Peters, the creator and host of Gravely Amusing. For the past 30 years, I've studied the history of gods and monsters in pop culture and our world. As a student of theology and history, I've tried to understand evil and its impact on us. As a writer, I've tried to share this knowledge. As a comedian, I've tried to make people laugh as I do it. But as a man-child, I'm still that scared 7-year-old boy. Join me as I share the history of horror and sci-fi, discuss classic and modern pop culture, and share a creepy story or two. This podcast may scare you, it may horrify you, or it may leave you gravely amused. Listen to Gravely Amusing on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, and wherever podcasts are found. Follow us on Twitter at Gravely_Amusing or on TikTok at Gravely Amusing.
Hi, I'm Taria Maynard, and this is my co-host, Jania Patrick. We're a couple of sisters in Central Ohio who created a podcast. Our podcast is called The Confessing Heretics.
The basic premise of the podcast right now, as we see it, is we're going to talk to you guys about our stories in religion, would you say?
This podcast is about sharing our truths, our religious traumas, and our histories. We'd love for you to join us on our journeys as we talk about our pasts and discover more about ourselves along the way. We will be featured on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. Just look for The Confessing Heretics.
We have a $1 Patreon. Yes, I know everyone asks for money, but our $1 Patreon each month gets you commentary tracks for releasing movies, DC movies. It gets you my Requel series where I pitch ideas about movie sequels, prequels, or whatever. It also gets special bonus episodes of whatever else some of the friends of the network chime in and drop. So check that out for $1 a month. That's all we ask. Keep it cheap, keep it simple, and help us keep going. Check out the link in the show notes or Patreon, Krypton Report.
Follow the link in the link tree or in the show notes below, patreon.com/Krypton Report.
This is Dan Jurgens, and if you want to have a good time, keep listening to the Krypton Report.